everyone, it's Nicole and welcome to the third episode of Writing is Hard series, and today, as suggested by my lovely viewer Lily Turner, we're going to discuss the integral part of any novel: plot. Plotting. Describing action on paper, but not exactly. It's a little bit harder than it sounds. According to any dictionary that you're going to pick up, plot or storyline is going to be explained as an element that is going to drive the narrative forward. Sometimes when reviewing books, people like to say that this particular book was character-driven instead of being plot-driven. But it's an inaccurate definition even if it sounds right. When characters seem to take the forefront in the book, what actually happens is that the plot doesn't stop, it just slows down. Because plot cannot be static, it constantly moves. If your text is static, it simply means that you're not writing plot. A novel with a storyline starts with a question and ends with an answer, and the chain of events that is secured in the middle is the road that leads from the question till the answer. It sounds easy, but how do you determine what kind of question you want to ask, and how do you make sure that every scene that follows leads to an answer? After all, going to the extremes with action can as easily ruin the book as the absence of it. So that's where the plotting starts being confusing. We have a knowledge of a general structure that has 3 acts and an understandable idea. I'm going to link this structure down below if you never encountered it, but you probably did. My problem with the structure is that an experienced reader is dead bored with a formulaic plot and usually tries to gravitate to something that is going to surprise them. But how can we surprise them if we're following the same archaic structure? In general, I prefer not to. My method is a mix between outlining and organic writing. I base myself on a classical structure still to not be confused, but I do not necessarily follow it all the way. To simply say my outlining is not detailed. I create a timeline with the beginning, the middle and the end, and figure out where I want my characters to be in these 3 points. And then I go straight to writing. This way I'm not forcing my writing into a mold and allowing myself to write original work. All the scenes that carry my character to the next point are coming out of me naturally when I ask myself a question: and what happened next? To some, this method might seem to lack logic, but it's the same as doing an outline. It's just in the moment rather than beforehand. I'm going to give you an example so you'll have a better understanding. Let's get back to our timeline and choose a fairy tale. For example, Cinderella. The start for the Cinderella, our protagonist, is when her father dies and she is now a part of the family that makes her extremely unhappy. The middle for Cinderella is going to be Cinderella charming a prince. What do we have to do so that Cinderella at the start will arrive to Cinderella at the middle point? To charm a prince, Cinderella actually has to meet him. How can Cinderella meet him? At a ball. Right. Cinderella has to somehow hear about the ball. She also has to somehow arrive to the ball. And she needs to charm the prince, and to charm the prince, she has to look presentable. So that's how, in not so many steps, we arrive from the point 1 to the point 2 of your timeline. Of course, in the fairy tale there are a few other scenes happening between these 2 points, but you get the idea. To successfully use this method, you need to remember the nature of storytelling. Your storyline is a round, heavy rock that all your characters are moving towards a cliff. They create tension that escalates scene by scene by taking action or suffering the consequences of actions of other characters. And in the end, when tension is reaching its highest peak, they bring the storyline to the climax. Tension is built by right scene connections. When you're writing scenes, in your mind you have to include the word but or therefore in between them, not the word then, because if you're using then, you're just describing things, while when you're using therefore and but, you're actually moving your plot. By using this method, you sometimes can find yourself straying away from the plot or being stuck in a rut. My advice: if you feel stuck, get back to your outline and write the scenes that you want to include in more detail. That's going to help you because you have to get used to this type of writing. It needs to come naturally to you, and it's not going to happen at first. The other problem that you might encounter is that you might stray away. If you find yourself describing way too much, or that you included certain scenes that don't make sense anymore, or that they already feel irrelevant, remember that by choosing this method, you're already agreeing to straying. You have to be comfortable with not including every single scene that you're going to write. You have to be comfortable with your draft not being perfect, because some of the scenes that you're going to write are naturally going to lose relevance by the end of the book. When you're writing organically, it allows you to get to know your characters, to figure them out on your own first, and then when you get to know them, choose the scenes that you find the most relevant to the plot, not to the characters. You will still know about all those bonus scenes that you wrote, but the scenes do not have to be presented to the reader as well. It's just something for you, so you'll have a better insight in what you're writing. You have to be comfortable to cut them out when you're going to edit your draft. The best advice that I can give in terms of plotting in general is that you have to be a little bit more chill about it. A lot of people put more thought into the plot than needed. The more you're going to write in this project, the closer to the end you're going to get, the more logical all these scenes are going to get to you, and the more understanding of your plot you're going to get. The first draft is not a perfect draft, and this type of method that I'm using is helping me to figure out what I want to say. I don't always know what kind of question I want to answer, and sometimes giving yourself a little bit of freedom allows you to figure it out without sweating. Eventually the whole storyline is going to click, and you'll know what scenes you have to cut out and what scenes you have to add, so it will make more sense. I'm finally done with 100,000 words in my project. It doesn't seem unreachable now. I've never stuck to a project for so long, and it makes me so happy, the idea that I will actually finish this draft and that I will eventually publish it. As I'm getting closer to an end, some scenes that I wrote at the start make more sense or don't make sense at all, and I know that I have to cut them out. That's all the things that I wanted to say about plot. If you're willing to share your method for writing plot, do it in the comments down below. I'll be interested to check it out. And until the next episode of Writing is Hard, bye!